Hello and welcome to another episode of TEW 2020 WWE. We are continuing the build up to Summerslam here, starting of course with another episode of Monday Night Raw, and the show kicks off with Mr. Money in the Bank Adam Cole making his way down to the ring here for an 85, and then he gets on the mic and he talks about dealing with Kevin Owens once and for all at Crown Jewel. And he says, now that Kevin Owens is out the way, now he's finally dealt with, I can focus once again on what's next. For me, for Edge, for WWE, for everything. And that is Mr. Money in the Bank Adam Cole becoming the next WWE champion. Edge had a break from my watchful eye when Kevin Owens got involved, but Owens is done with now. And so my focus is on one thing and one thing only, the WWE title. And retiring the old man Edge, well, that's just going to be a really good bonus, I think, for an 87. And then Adam Cole demanding Edge come down to the ring now. He gets a steel chair, and he sits up in the middle of the ring, and he just sits in it waiting for Edge to come down to the ring and face him right now. But he isn't met by Edge, he is met by Angel Garza, King of the Ring Angel Garza, that is, making his way out for an 82 here. And then Angel Garza getting a mic and saying that if Adam Cole really wants to be the man to take the WWE title off Edge, if he really wants to be the next WWE champion, then he should cash in real soon, because in a little under 3 weeks' time at SummerSlam, Angel Garza is going to be the next WWE champion. Angel Garza is going to be the man who takes that championship off of Edge. And so, if Adam Cole wants that to be him instead, well then, Adam Cole is on a bit of a timer when it comes to that right now for 78. Adam Cole laughing it off, saying that Angel Garza is not a threat. Angel Garza isn't the guy to beat Edge. Adam Cole is. Adam Cole's the only guy around here to beat Edge, to take that WWE title off him. They have a few verbal back and forths when Roderick Strong runs in from behind, attacking Angel Garza. Adam Cole joining in, the two men beating down on the King of the Ring for 79, and then the WWE champion Edge storms down to the ring. Cole and Strong very quickly slipping out as Edge slides in. Edge telling him to get back in the ring, but neither man do. They go up the ramp before Edge checks on his upcoming SummerSlam opponent, Angel Garza, here for the 82. Good start to the show, I would say. And going into the first match of the evening, Drew Gulak's in the ring. Tommaso Ciampa makes his way down. The bell's about to ring when Timothy Thatcher's music hits. The hardcore champion Timothy Thatcher makes his way down to the ring, stopping at the bottom of the ramp and just standing there ready to watch the match for the 59. And then the match, it's a 66, pretty good match. Tommaso Ciampa picking up the win here with the fairy tale ending. He gets a 68, a 61 from Gulak. Pretty good from these two, as Tommaso Ciampa does come out on top. And then after the match, Ciampa leaving the ring, going up the ramp, squaring off with Thatcher once again, the two men staring down before Ciampa walks past Thatcher and up the ramp for a 61. This slowly building between these two as we're going on here. And then we have an announcement, the main event of tonight, Angel Garza and the WWE Champion Edge. They'll face off at SummerSlam, but they're teaming up tonight, and they're teaming up to take on the Undisputed Era, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, for a 73 here. It is announced. And then we head into the next match of the evening, a tag team match as well. We have the Celtic Warriors, Sheamus and Drew McIntyre, making their returns at Crown Jewel, destroying the Raw Tag Champions, Breezango, last week, destroying the former number one contenders Imperium as well. And now McIntyre and Sheamus taking on Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch here. And the Celtic Warriors pick up the win with the off with your head here. Sheamus pinning Lorcan for a 67. Burch off his game sadly, but McIntyre shone in this match with an 80, really good. 59 from Sheamus, 34 from Lorcan, 38 from Burch, pretty good. And the Celtic Warriors come out on top. Lorcan out cold in the middle of the ring as McIntyre and Sheamus get their arms raised. Burch coming in to check on Lorcan when the Celtic Warriors attack him as well, hitting him with the off of your head as well. And then the Celtic Warriors standing tall over Birch and Lorcan here for a 73. A video promo then plays for Pete Dunne, talking about the former WWE United Kingdom champion, saying that he is here finally on the main roster, so to speak, and he's ready to make an impact. The second ever United Kingdom champion, the second longest reigning United Kingdom champion after Walter, whose reign is still going on, but Pete Dunne in a very illustrious class of people to have had that UK title, and making his Raw debut here, the promo for the 67, and then his debut match, Pete Dunne versus Sami Zayn, and Pete Dunne gets the win. It's a back and forth match, but in the end, Sami Zayn going for the hell of a kick, Pete Dunne ducking underneath it, and then rolling Sami Zayn up for a 1-2-3. Pete Dunne picking up a big win on his debut here. Zayn with the 61, Dunne with the 51, decent match. Zayn getting better at his gimmick, and the Cruiserweight has arrived here on Monday Night Raw and picks up the win. We then have Miss Money in the Bank, Ember Moon, making her way down to the ring here for a 65. And then her match with Jessamine Duke, Ember Moon picks up the win with the Eclipse for a 52. 54 from Moon, 23 from Duke. Alright match, Moon carrying that to the 52, coming out on top. And then after the match, Ember Moon getting the mic, getting her briefcase, and saying that she's been having some thoughts about what to do with this briefcase, and she was struggling to work it out. But then she realised there's only one person that she can do this with, and so she asked the Women's World Champion Asuka to make her way down to the ring for the 59, and Asuka does for a 73. And then the two going back and forth. Ember Moon talks about how in NXT, Asuka was always on top, the undefeated Empress of Tomorrow, Asuka, NXT Women's Champion. And Ember Moon was just underneath. Ember Moon couldn't quite finish the job. And even when it felt like she was going to, when she was finally going to finish that job, end Asuka's undefeated streak, end her championship reign, get that win, get that gold, Asuka got injured. And she was gone. And Ember Moon went on to win that NXT Women's title next, but it wasn't the same because it wasn't against Asuka. She didn't end that streak. She didn't finally beat Asuka. But now she has this Money in the Bank briefcase. And you know what? She thought about it. Last week, Asuka, brutal matchup with Sasha Banks. Ember Moon thought about coming out, cashing in that briefcase, finally beating Asuka, winning that title off her. But it wouldn't feel right. This Money in the Bank briefcase is Ember Moon's opportunity, she says, to finally right the biggest wrong of her career. And so she's not going to wait till Asuka's weak. She's not going to sneak attack her. Wait till she's had a long, grueling matchup. No. Because the only way that this means a damn is if Ember Moon, once and for all, defeats Asuka one-on-one. 100% versus 100%. Not a weak Asuka. Full Empress of Tomorrow undefeated champion Asuka. That is the Asuka Ember Moon has to beat for winning a title off Asuka to give it to mean a damn. That's what she had to do in NXT, but she couldn't. But she is strong enough now. And so Ember Moon tells Asuka that at SummerSlam she will be cashing in the Women's Money in the Bank briefcase for a one-on-one match with Asuka for the Women's World title. Ember Moon announcing her cash-in advance because she doesn't want a cheap win on Asuka. She wants to beat Asuka fair and square, one-on-one, and prove that she can defeat Asuka for a 65. Asuka, very amenable, I would say, to that suggestion. She seems very happy with it. Ember Moon they square off looking at the title. Asuka raising the Women's World title, Ember Moon raising her Money in the Bank briefcase. And so, all set for SummerSlam, Asuka versus Ember Moon one-on-one for that Women's World Championship. Hopefully that will be good. But now we're heading into the main event of this evening, the tag team match as announced earlier. Angel Garza and the WWE Champion Edge taking on Undisputed Era, Adam Cole and Roderick Strong. And it's back and forth. We get towards the end of the match, and Edge spears Adam Cole through the barricade at ringside, taking them both out. and leaving just Angel Garza and Roderick Strong. And in the end, Garza hits the wing clipper onto Strong to pick up the win here. Angel Garza and Edge coming out on top over the Undisputed Era for a 78 segment rating wise. Pretty good. 82 from Adam Cole, 77 from Edge and Garza, the 60 from Strong. Decent match, I would say here. Garza and Edge coming out on top. Garza getting his arm raised by the referee when United States Champion Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish storm into the ring and start attacking Angel Garza, beating him down. Garza trying to fight him off but struggling to. Roderick Strong getting back to his feet and joining in as well. Edge getting back to his feet at the ringside, going into the ring and forcing off the Undisputed Era a little bit, taking out Strong, Fish and O'Reilly a little bit, but turning around into a recovered Adam Cole super kick, taking him down. The Undisputed Era beating down on Garza and Edge for an 82 here. When Kevin Owens runs out to the ring, steel chair in hand, and he gets a whack in on Roderick Strong, he gets a whack in on Bobby Fish, he goes for Kyle O'Reilly, but the United States Champion manages to duck underneath and escape the ring, as does the other three members of the Undisputed Era. And then the Undisputed Era go up the ramp whilst Kevin Owens stands tall with the chair, and Edge and Garza recover onto their knees for an 86 here. Garza and Edge picking up the win. Undisputed Era getting the better of them in the post, but Kevin Owens making the save and showing that maybe he's just not done with the Undisputed Era quite yet. And overall, they helped this episode of Monday Night Raw to an 82. Yeah, decent episode of Raw, I'd say. Very happy with that. 82. Pretty average with Raw, so can't complain with it really. Increased the popularity in 27 Rangers. Happy with that. As another good episode of Raw, I'd say. The road to SummerSlam going on, more things being confirmed on Raw, and it's time to see what's happening on the road to SummerSlam next on NXT. And then NXT getting underway here with Becky Lynch making her way down to the ring. The former dual Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion, obviously. She took some time away in WWE in 2019, vacating her Raw Women's title, having held it for a year, to go and have a baby. But she made her return last week, saving Tegan Nox from a post-match beatdown from Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. Made her return to NXT, and now made her return to WWE, made her return to NXT, coming out to kick off the show here for an 84. And then she gets the mic and she starts talking, the crowd going wild. Becky Lynch saying how amazing it is to be back in WWE, and how amazing it also is to be back in NXT, where she came from, when she learned so much, where it's set the groundwork for who she would go on to become. And now she's back, and she's got one thing in mind, and that's righting a little issue she has with her WWE history, and that is that she is the only 4 horsewoman to have never been NXT's Women's Champion. Crowd going wild. And so she asked the NXT Women's Champion Tegan Nox to come out to the ring for a 75. And Tegan Nox obliges. Tegan Nox making her way down to the ring. Becky Lynch saying how amazing Tegan Nox has done. How far she has come. How great it is to see 2 women from across the pond, Wales and Ireland, come to America, come to WWE and take over like they have. But now Tegan Nox has something Becky Lynch wants, that NXT Women's title. Tegan Nox saying how much of a fan she is of Becky Lynch, how big an inspiration Becky Lynch was to her, coming through the system, so to speak, to where she is now. And she says that if Becky Lynch wants to go at SummerSlam, Tegan Nox will happily oblige with that for a 77. But then the pair are interrupted by Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, not happy, talking about Becky Lynch getting in their business. How if anyone here deserves an NXT Women's Championship match at SummerSlam, it's Raquel Gonzalez, it's Dakota Kai, not Becky Lynch. I mean, what's Becky Lynch done lately? She took over 12 months off, and then she just wants to waltz right through the door, right into a women's title program? I don't think so. And Becky Lynch tells them to shut up, saying that, you want to see what I can do? Well, let's do it tonight then. And that is announced that tonight, later on, a tag team match, Dakota and Raquel Gonzalez against the NXT Women's Champion Tegan Nox and Becky Lynch, making her in-ring return to action. It's a 75 for this segment, very good. And then we go backstage to the Mysterios, Dominik Mysterio, later on tonight taking on Will Ospreay in the Cruiserweight Championship #1 Contenders match. If Dominik wins, he will get a Cruiserweight title match against Andrade at SummerSlam. He made his debut last week qualifying for this contendership match, and he's backstage with Rey Mysterio. He's got getting his attire on, he's getting ready, and Rey Mysterio saying how proud he is of Dominik and how this is a big opportunity for Dominik to get a championship match so soon into his career, and Dominik saying he's ready and thanking his dad for preparing him for this moment, a nice father-son moment between these two as Dominik Mysterio prepares for his match for a 71 here. And then we have the first match of the evening here, Bobby Lashley set his tights on Keith Lee and his NXT North American title. He beat Dijakovic last week, and he's in action here against Damian Priest, a man who's also got a bit of momentum. He beat Finn Balor a few weeks back on NXT, and now the two going at it here. And following some interference from Finn Balor, Damian Priest looked like he was on top, looked like he was going to get the victory here, but then Finn Balor's music hit, distracting Damian Priest, who let go of Bobby Lashley, looking up to the ramp, asking where Balor is, asking him to get out here. Balor not coming, Damian Priest shrugging off, turning around straight into a spear from Bobby Lashley, as Bobby Lashley does pick up the win here. It's a 70 for the segment, good match between these two, 66 from Lashley, 63 from Priest. I'm happy enough with that, I'm happy. And then we go backstage, Dominik Dijakovic being interviewed by Sarah Schreiber about last week, saying he was disappointed to lose to Lashley, but he's quickly interrupted by the MVP's MVP, Lashley, all sweaty after his match he just had, and Cedric and Ricochet. And they're going back and forth, MVP talking about how Lashley destroyed Dijakovic last week. And Dijakovic is still here running his mouth somehow. It's honestly a little bit embarrassing, to be honest with you. Dijakovic talking about how much talk MVP and Lashley do, and then Lashley intervening, stepping forward to Dijakovic, saying that we don't have to talk anymore if you don't want. I can beat your ass just like last week for a 55 here. When Keith Lee appears not happy with Bobby Lashley's attack and saying that, well, I'm guessing we're done with talking around here. And then Keith Lee swings at Lashley, hitting Lashley. Alexander and Ricochet storm into Lee, but Dijakovic attacks him as well. It's a massive brawl, and they're all pulled apart in the end. And it's announced later, Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic teaming up to take on the MVPs, Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. Is 71 for this segment here. And then we do have the Cruiserweight Championship #1 Contenders match. Dominik Mysterio in his second ever professional match, taking on half of the Cruiserweight Tag Team Champions, Will Ospreay, a man with so much experience. And the two men going at it. They both want to win. Dominik Mysterio, all this energy, and he's pulling out some moves people are not expecting. But Will Ospreay, maybe a bit more experience, a bit more understanding, taking control a little bit as the match goes on. And then in the end, a referee accidentally taken out between the two men, and they continue to go at it when Legado swarm the ring. Andrade, Humberto Carrillo and Santos Escobar, Zelina Vega barking orders on the outside, and Legado completely take out the two men. Rey Mysterio and Scotty Essex both charge down to the ring to try and help, but Legado, the numbers game, taking them out as well and throwing them out the ring, leaving just Dominik Mysterio and Will Ospreay in the ring with Legado. Andrade hits his finisher on Dominik, and then Santos Escobar hits the Phantom Driver, and Humberto Carrillo hits a moonsault onto Will Ospreay, and then Andrade drags Dominik Mysterio's arm over Will Ospreay. They wake the ref, they leave the ring, and the referee counts the 1, 2, 3. Dominik Mysterio coming out on top here, following that interference from Legado, as it seems Legado have handpicked Andrade's challenger, and it will be Dominik Mysterio, less than a month after making his professional debut, getting a Cruiserweight Championship match at SummerSlam. Huge for him. And it's a 57 for the segment. Decent segment. 29 from Dominik. And 66 from Will Ospreay. Happy with that, as Dominik Mysterio's the #1 contender. And then after the match, Legado standing tall over the Swords of Essex and the Mysterios. Andrade, Carrillo, Escobar and Zelina Vega. The ones coming out on top, really, in this segment overall for the 67. As we then have an interview with the Velveteen Dream talking about The Fiend once again, saying how clearly scared the Fiend is of him, but that's okay. The Fiend doesn't want to face me, that's okay. We all know the reason why, so we don't mind so much. And then talking about his match later on tonight in the main event, the Velveteen Dream versus Randy Orton. And Velveteen Dream talking about how much he can't wait to defeat Randy Orton, to put down the Viper, and show that the only man around here who deserves an NXT Championship opportunity at SummerSlam is the Dream for an 84 here. Before we head into tag team action, Dominik Dijakovic and the NXT North American Champion Keith Lee against the MVPs Cedric Alexander and Ricochet. And Dijakovic and Lee do pick up the win here. Keith Lee pinning Ricochet after catching him midair and then hitting the Big Bang Catastrophe onto him. A 69 for the segment, pretty good. 77 from Lee, 59 from Cedric, 53 from Ricochet, and 37 from Dijakovic. Keith Lee head and shoulders above everyone else as a North American Champion, and then celebrating after the match as Lashley and MVP look on at ringside. Before we head backstage, Sarah Shriver interviewing John Cena in his locker room for a 100, the best segment I've got so far. Had to include John Cena, didn't it? And John Cena talks about how disappointed he was to lose to Karrion Kross, but how he's not going to let that get him down. How he's thinking about what's next, what's to come, because it's heading into SummerSlam. And he says SummerSlam wouldn't be the same without John Cena there. And he says he's just trying to figure out what is there for him at SummerSlam. Who is going to step up to John Cena when he hears a knock at his door. And John Cena, puzzled, gets up, goes over to the door and opens it up. And there, standing at his door is Aleister Black. Aleister Black said that he was going to seek out a challenger for himself, and it seems he's found the perfect one. It's going face to face with John Cena here, and John Cena smiling at the prospect of fighting Aleister Black for the first time, a match between those two. And this segment gets an 86 here, very, very good from these two. As we head into another tag team match, Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez taking on the team of the returning Becky Lynch after over 12 months away, making her in-ring return, and the NXT Women's Champion Tegan Nox. And Becky Lynch and Tegan Nox pick up the win here. Becky Lynch forcing Dakota Kai to submit with the disarm her for a 74 here segment rating wise. 79 from Becky Lynch and 58 from Nox and Gonzalez and 54 from Kai. Very, very good from these four, as Becky Lynch comes out on top in her return here after the match. Tegan Nox making her way back into the ring and seeing Becky Lynch getting her arm raised. The referee holding the NXT Women's title. Becky Lynch takes the NXT Women's title off the referee and approaches Tegan Nox. Lynch looking down at the title and then looking at Nox and then handing it to her, saying that, "I'll take it off you. Don't worry about that." Tegan Nox and Becky Lynch both looking very happy at a prospect of a match between the two at SummerSlam for that NXT Women's Championship for an 81 here. Very good segment, as we have a little promo that plays advertising Chad Gable, the former United States champion. And it says he is coming to NXT. Angel Garza heading over to Raw. I wanted to bring someone from Raw over to NXT. I went to Chad Gable. I think he's really good in ring. Really good promo-wise, obviously here with the 83 for his promo. And so hopefully he can do some big things on NXT here. As we head into the main event, Randy Orton and the Velveteen Dream both have their respective entrances for 78. And then the match, Randy Orton versus the Velveteen Dream. And Randy Orton picks up the win with an RKO out of nowhere onto the Velveteen Dream in a match that is, I'm pretty sure, the best match, or maybe the joint best match. I can't remember if Kross and Cena got an 88 or an 87 or an 86, but at the very least it's the joint best match of the safe so far. Randy Orton pulling it out the bag with the Velveteen Dream here. Orton with the 86 and the Dream with the 67. Amazing work between these two. I was doubting in my mind making this the main event or the women's tag team, but I'm really glad I went with this one in the end, of course. And then after the match, Randy Orton celebrating when Karrion Kross's music hits, him and Scarlett making their way out onto the stage and staring down at Randy Orton, who stares back at them. Velveteen Dream sneakily getting to his feet, going for Randy Orton. He tries to pick him up into the Dream Valley Driver, but Randy Orton notices this, of course, and hits an RKO on Velveteen Dream instead, leaves him laying in the ring as he looks up the ramp at Karrion Kross, and two continue to stare down for an 81 here. Really happy with all the stuff from John Cena, Randy Orton, especially in this show tonight, both doing amazing work, as I've got really high hopes for Karrion Kross, Randy Orton. Karrion Kross, John Cena did amazingly, hopefully Kross, Randy Orton can do as well, but the show this week for NXT gets a 91, my highest rated show of the save so far. Amazing work, better than any weekly or pay-per-view show so far. That is amazing work from these two. John Cena with the 100, the 88 from Orton and Dream, and just overall, match-wise and angle-wise, a really, really good show, I would say. Increased up in 48 regions, and an amazing episode of NXT here, which, going back to the after WrestleMania NXT, of course, the lowest rated show I had, but now shooting up, having the highest rated episode so far. What amazing progress NXT is making here, as the SummerSlam build-up this week continues on in amazing fashion, and hopefully we can continue that with another episode of Smackdown. And Smackdown here gets on the way with the general manager Paige making her way down to the ring here for a 66, and then she gets on the mic and she starts talking about the ever-present issues on SmackDown between Roman Reigns and Montez Ford, and how she just wants these issues to be sorted once and for all. So she invites both men to come out to the ring right now for a 58. Then Montez Ford makes his way down to the ring for an 84, followed by the Bloodline Roman Reigns leading out Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso and Jacob Fatu for an 86 here. And then they get on the mic, Montez Ford wondering why, Roman Reigns demanding to know why he's been called out to the ring right now. And Paige says that Montez Ford and Roman Reigns obviously don't like each other and whatever, okay? But when it starts interfering with Paige's show like this, that's when she has to get involved, when she has to step in. So she says tonight it's going to end once and for all, because the main event, Montez Ford versus Roman Reigns 1v1 one last time. And to kill two birds with one stone in this situation, the winner of that match will earn a shot at the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam for an 85 here. Ford extremely happy at the prospect. Roman Reigns kind of got that okay face, Roman Reigns. He wants to deal with Montez Ford. He wants a championship. This kind of solves both of those issues. And then, so we have that for later. Then we get into the first match of the evening. Ace Austin taking on Leon Ruff. Leon Ruff making his debut here on SmackDown in WWE. And he does sadly come up short in the end. A bit of in the end, Ace Austin gets a handful of tights when rolling up Leon Ruff to pick up the victory here for a 56. 58 from Austin, 31 from Ruff. Okay from these two, Ace Austin getting his first singles win here over the debuting Ruff, who put up a very good fight but can't come out on top in the end. We then go backstage to the $1 Million champion Bianca Belair being interviewed by Kayla Braxton here. Bianca Belair talking about beating Toni Storm once again at Super Showdown, and now looking for the next challenge, looking for what's next, heading into WWE SummerSlam for a 63, and then she is interrupted by the Iconics, Peyton Royce, Billie Kay walking over, talking about how Bianca's looking for the next challenge, but the next challenge is right in front of her, obviously, because, Bianca Belair, $1 Million champion, is not really working out, Now, the $1 Million title, WWE, they need something a little more iconic, doesn't it? For 59, Peyton Royce and Billie Kay laying out a challenge somewhat to the $1 Million champion before we head into a women's tag team match. Bliss Cross Applesauce, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross taking on Naomi and Nia Jax. And Naomi and Nia Jax do come out on top here. Nia Jax pinning Nikki Cross for a 61. 59 from Bliss, 58 from Naomi, 55 from Cross, 53 from Jax, who was off her game, sadly. But Naomi and Jax come out on top. and then after the match kicking Bliss and Cross out of the ring, and then they kind of lay out the challenge saying about how they deserve gold around their waists, and so they've set their sights on the women's tag team titles, and they put out the warning saying, Riot Squad, Liv Morgan, Ruby Riott, you better watch your back, because we are coming to take what you have. For a 71 here. Really good work from, Naomi specifically in this segment. But, Nia Jax not bringing it down too much. Still getting that 71. As we go backstage, Dirty Dog's drinking backstage. Leon Ruff a bit beat up, after his match earlier. Walking past, and then the Dirty Dogs stop him, They congratulate him on making his big SmackDown debut. But he lost, it's not a surprise. Look at him. What else is he going to do in this business other than lose? But, you know what? That's fine. Because some people are just losers in life, like Leon Ruff. And some people are just winners, like the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Dirty Dogs. And this is annoying, Leon Ruff saying that, yeah, I lost tonight. Okay, but you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go away. I'm going to train even harder. I'm going to come back and I'm going to win. And the Dirty Dogs kind of stop for a moment, look at him seriously, and then burst into laughter before Leon Ruff walks away. Dirty Dogs not taking Leon Ruff seriously at all here for a 63. Before we have a match next up, the WWE Queen of the Ring, Charlotte Flair, taking on Mandy Rose. And Charlotte Flair comes out on top with a figure 8 leg lock for a 60. 66 from Flair, 33 from Rose. Sadly, the two didn't seem to click, and it made for an awkward bout, but Ripley at ringside after the match, getting in the ring, and her and Flair squaring up again before Charlotte Flair kind of says, not right now, I just had a match. You're not worthy of this right now, but I'll see you, because we have our match at SummerSlam, I guess the 77, much better from these two. Looking forward to seeing what they can do in the ring match-wise come the pay-per-view. Before we head into the next match of this evening, it's the Universal Champion Big E in action against King Corbin. Last week, King Corbin tasting defeat in that Fatal 4-Way match where Kofi Kingston became the number 1 contender to the Universal title. After the match, Corbin and Ace going for Kofi, but Big E stopping them, and now Big E taking on King Corbin here. And Big E comes out on top for a 71. 70 for Big E, 57 for Corbin. These two didn't seem to click either, sadly. Only getting a 71, but still alright from these two. And then after the match, Ace Austin, cane in hand, going to strike Big E ducking underneath it, and then Ace Austin turning around into a trouble in paradise from Kofi Kingston. Big E and Kingston clearing house of Corbin and Austin once again before the two, brothers pretty much, who will be fighting for that Universal title at SummerSlam, stand on top come the end of the segment for an 81 here. Then we go backstage to an interview with the Intercontinental Champion Thaddeus Bullard and, of course, his manager, his advocate, his advisor, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman talking about the main event, saying about how Roman Reigns or Montez Ford, it doesn't matter really. Paige can put up whoever she wants. She can try and block Thaddeus Bullard's path, whoever she likes. But at the end of the day, it'll stay the same. Still your Intercontinental Champion, Thaddeus Bullard. And come Survivor Series, she will be hearing the exact same thing. Your new Universal Champion, Thaddeus Bullard. For 76 here, Heyman. Still very insistent on Bullard's plans going forward with the Intercontinental title. As we find out who his next challenger will be, it's the main event, Montez Ford versus Roman Reigns. Bitter rivals after the last few weeks, months, and now going head to head here with the Intercontinental titleship contendership on the line. And Montez Ford, in the end, does manage to come out on top with a frog splash, pinning Roman Reigns for a 77. Decent little match. 71 from Ford, 86 from Reigns. Reigns doing really well. Ford, sadly, off his game here. Couldn't bring it for the big time occasion, but oh well. They had great chemistry, and it showed in their performance. As Montez Ford defeats Roman Reigns once again and becomes number 1 contender to Thaddeus Bullard's Intercontinental title. Montez Ford will get an Intercontinental title match at SummerSlam, which is huge for him. He is celebrating like crazy after the match when he is attacked as expected by the Bloodline. Reigns, the Usos, Jacob Fatu beating down on Montez Ford. Roman tells them to hold him up. The Usos holding Montez Ford up. He's very groggy as Roman Reigns goes to the corner, sets up for a spear for a 76, and then the music hits of... I forgot to put him in the segment. But the music hits of The Rock. And The Rock, you know, the Bloodline caught off guard. The Rock's seen for the first time since Mania when he was defeated by The Fiend following some interference from Roman Reigns. And The Rock making his return here, storming out to the ring. Roman making his return, storming down to the ring. The Usos, Jacob Fatu, the Usos slipping out the ring, trying to stop him. But The Rock evading their hits and kicks and taking both of them down at ringside, storming in the ring. Roman Reigns going for him. The Rock moving and Reigns flying over the top rope. And then Jacob Fatu goes for The Rock, but he goes underneath him, hits the rock bottom, then looks over to Roman Reigns for hitting a people's elbow on Jacob Fatu. And it ends with The Rock standing tall, Montez Ford. A little dazed, but, you know, not too worse for wear following his support. And it just ends with The Rock and Roman Reigns staring each other down for an 86 here. Really good work. And it helps this episode of SmackDown overall to get an 81. Decent episode of SmackDown here. I'm happy enough with that. Good matches, good angles. Really pushing towards SummerSlam, especially with that final angle between Roman Reigns and The Rock. Looking forward to what those two can do. Increase the rating in 27 regions. Can't complain. Happy with that, as the build-up to SummerSlam is still full steam ahead. Week 2 is out the way here. We've got 2 more weeks of regular TV, and then we are into the biggest party of the summer. And if you've enjoyed this episode and are looking forward to seeing what happens next on the road to SummerSlam, then please like and subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.